You rejected a union at your company and fired somebody for organizing.
Yeah, that is absolutely not true. You could say that if you like.
That is true. Look it up.
Fine. So since you smeared me.
In fact, that guy who did the confronting made a video about it, and everybody should go support his channel. But we're also gonna watch his video. I don't want to watch all of it. Don't want to take his content, but hoping to send some traffic his way, and would eventually like to get in touch with this dude. So this is the guy that confronted Cenk. So he's talking about it. I haven't seen this. I have not seen this full thing. It's this Monday. This thing dropped on Sunday, and I've been just dying to finally watch it. But I wanted to do it on camera to give you my authentic reaction, my initial reactions and stuff. So you can bet that I will be having a lot to say. I'm going to try to not be as repetitive as I always am. All right, enough yapping. This is exciting. Huge deal for this project. It's taken forever and ever, so I'm excited to get into it. No clue if Jubilee's going to take this video down or something. If they do, I know that they're pretty hard on copyright shit or claiming ad revenue. I don't get any ad. I got a new $10 Patreon supporter, which is amazing. I think we're up to $16 a month now. So please consider supporting the project if you'd like. There's a link tree with other ways to donate. Years and years of work into the film. So I need help trying to get it out. I'm in massive debt. It's horrible. So enough of that. You've heard me say all the things we got to say. I don't think we see our guy right away. Nick, that's our boy over here. Oh, there we go. This man here. Good job, buddy. All right. Oh, this is so great. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Hitting your goals
All right, that's fine. Cenk is very persuaded by himself. Cenk has lawyer brain. So his brain is a whiteboard in a law school classroom. So he does these flowchart logic arguments. And if he says it out loud, it means it's true and it's correct. And how dare you push back on his logical reasoning? That's part of where his sort of overconfident narcissism comes forward. So, but here we go. This is it. This is Nick. Good run. By the way, all the way behind Cenk is the worst spot. Talk about a move. I always watch this and I think the only way to make this fair is if the center podium, the table and chair setup is on like a lazy Susan, a little rotator thing, right? Doesn't it suck to be on this side? I'm sorry. I'm going to get real tedious here. Look at this guy jump. Nick, you are. Damn. Who the hell's. Look how fast he made it. Look at that. Let's go back. Let's go.
Hey.
5 seconds back. Play. Slow down. Look. Jeez, dude. He was on it. He was on point. Good for him. And this is a heroic thing to confront someone in power. Not a single online lefty show other than the Generational Change podcast, which is now Revolutionary Change, has brought it up to him in any way to ask him about it. And they were really friendly in this one. They trusted him. So Nick is stepping into stepping ahead of all the big names online in terms of asking Cenk about this. Good for this guy. Let's see.
Hey, good to meet you.
So Democrats don't want to pass their agenda. I would say they want to pass their agenda. It's just, if you ask the Democrats their agenda, you get 60 different answers. We've got environmentalists, labor people, environmentalists, we have gay rights, we have racial justice people, we have all the immigration factors. Like everybody thinks that their issue is the most important one. I know you don't acknowledge that usually the administration is national political capital, and they don't get something in that time, and they weren't really trying. But what has happened in the past, we saw Biden pass a number of bills in those first 2 years. The CHIPS Act, the Inflation Reduction Act, the bipartisan infrastructure law, the American Rescue Plan, Obama passed the Affordable Care Act. We passed all kinds of things, but we also all disagree on what the hell the Democrats should do, and that leads to the point where somebody is always frustrated in our coalition because we are not just a big tent, we're a circus ring. Like we have such a big tent collapsing in on itself. So this idea that we don't want to pass an agenda, last one I make is I'm thinking, when you were growing up, I was growing up. I'm actually an 80-year-old man. That's why I got my Mr. Rogers sweater. It was smog here in LA. Like you
Self-awareness. Green flag.
couldn't see 50 feet in front of your house. We created not just the most powerful environmental regulator in this country, cars are the most powerful environmental regulator in the world. And that was Democrats that did that. So this idea that Democrats have power, they don't actually know what to do with it is bogus. We've seen it here in California, we've seen it in New York with free college, we've seen it in many states. So I just don't really know actually want to do it. Okay, so you mentioned about those things. So let me take two of them as an example. So the CHIPS Act you mentioned, right? The Democrats told us when we were covering live on the other show, this is such a monumental bill, it's so important. And I was like, okay, nobody's going to go based on that. So put that aside. So that was definitely true, but we cannot put into whether they were trying to do something that Democratic voters wanted. So that was for national security. Okay, there's some truth to that, right? And they said, don't worry, just create more jobs. So now what do they do? Very typical Democratic vote. They passed over $50 billion in corporate subsidies. The number one recipient was Intel, $8.5 billion in grants and $11 billion
In loans, so about $20 billion overall. I said, for God's sake, at least put it in guardrails so they can't fire people. They said, oh, don't worry.
Sorry, I'm just checking the fact check because I'll be curious to see if they fact check. Because I obviously add this in post in the edit. If they fact check the union busting stuff, it's a provable fact. So it's crazy that Cenk insists on denying it. Intel announced plans to lay off 25,000 employees worldwide. Okay, I don't know. It's not like,
Worry, Intel's going to create 10,000 jobs. You know what they did? They didn't put in the guardrails, and right afterwards, Intel fired 20,000 people.
That's just weird to
Okay.
mention guardrails against firing people when you rejected a union at your company and fired.
okay, all right, okay. He really went for it. Okay, he didn't even. Okay, that's awesome. I love that he interrupted him. Didn't expect. I thought they were gonna go and then okay. So let's rewind a little. Let's get the wind up from Cenk now, because I was sort of not. I was a little tuned out slightly, but this is clearly relevant. So he brings up firing and something.
I said, for God's sake, at least put in guardrails so they can't fire people. They said, oh, don't worry, Intel's going to create 10,000 jobs. You know what they did? They didn't put in the guardrails, and right afterwards, Intel fired 20,000 people.
That's just weird to
Okay.
mention guardrails against firing people when you rejected a union at your company and fired somebody for organizing.
Yeah, that is absolutely not true. You could say that if you like.
That is true. Look
Okay.
it up. There's
Okay.
a union now.
Okay,
but
you
okay.
could
Okay. Good. Okay. Yes. God. There's two moments I'm going to celebrate this whole project. This is okay. This is the first, I guess, let's say. Two more moments I'm hoping for that you can help me get to. One is where Cenk finally tells the truth. One is where he finally takes this thing and holds it up to the camera and says, yes, the government found me in violation of Section 7 of the NLRA for union busting. The other, because that'll mean that he'll finally have unerased the story that the story of the workers that he did erase. The struggle we went through internally before we started to unionize, while we were secretly unionizing, and then during the union busting battle. I was laid off a month before the union came forward, so I didn't experience the union busting as an employee, but my working conditions were foundational to the start of the union, the second attempt, because it was a long process. The second big moment is when I get to be done with this whole fucking thing completely, because it has really been unhealthy for me to even. I'm so sick of it. I'm mostly just angry that I had to do it. It's like a bully picks on you and then you fight back, and it's like, well, I didn't start it. I didn't choose to do this. I could have walked away at any moment, but I'm not that type of person. You know what I mean? So that's fantastic that they fact checked him. That's so great. That's so fucking great. Production and post-production crew at the Young Turks voted to unionize in 2020, according to a report in Politico. Cenk Uygur intensely pressured staffers not to unionize. That is so fucking great. Look, over here. Click on sources. Politico. It's the last one because it was the final vote, the second election that Cenk forced them to have, because they already did an election via card check, was on like the 9th, but roughly. It was like a process, like a day long, kind of like you could submit your shit. So yeah, you can go here, read the Politico stuff. I also just wanted to share too, the writer of this piece was given the emails, and I've posted these all over Substack too, up on my thing. Look, we're getting some notifications. I wonder if something's going on over there on Twitter. So this is Hank Thompson, who is a fairly prominent national reporter or journalist guy now. I know he did the book with Jake Tapper about Biden's presidency and shit. But anyway, so he received emails from Cenk that were about him, that he sent before that second election, trying to coerce his employees not to unionize. And these are filled with anti-union, union busting talking points, tactics. Any like labor historian / outlet, something, whatever, journalists should study these. These are like a fascinating document about how union busters think and work, that such as it's not realistic. You're endangering the company. If we hire people at your union rates, we'll probably have to fire somebody else. Like, you're going to hurt others. You know, it's just amazing. And there's also a lie here. I mean, it's all bullshit. But like where he says no one ever raised a single issue, as I show on my Substacks, I raised the issue. Do I seem like a guy who doesn't fucking speak up? Do I seem like that kind of fucking guy? Not at all. I'm a loud, annoying, whiny bitch. I was so annoying. That's probably why we started the union, is just to shut me the fuck up. God, Hank won't stop bitching because when we have days off, he gets no money like we do. Let's unionize so we can get some peace and quiet around here. I was constantly complaining to people at the Young Turks. My manager, the office manager. Hey, I don't think I'm being treated with any fairness here. I feel like they're stealing from me, actually. I don't get health insurance, days off, I get nothing, and I'm paid less than everybody else. Do you think maybe I could just get the same disrespect everybody else gets, please? I'm working full time here doing video editing at your video production company. So I raised the issue, and instead of handling it or saying, hey, oh shoot, we didn't mean to screw up because I was independent contractor, quote unquote, for the first like 7 months. Instead of saying, gee, we're sorry, dog. I don't know, they would have called me dog, but it'd be funny if corporations did that in their work. Hey, bro, you know, it could have been a mistake. Okay, here's a bunch of money that you didn't get that you should have gotten. We're so sorry. Here's $50. Go to Best Buy, buy an Adele album. But they didn't do that. They changed my classification to part-time while I was working full-time. Instead, they stopped the independent contractor scam and started a new scam where they called me part-time while I worked 40-hour weeks. That's why we unionized. It's insane. So, okay, sorry. I told you. I warned you. I would get ahead of things. Yeah, so here's just one more. Or no, that one is just like stitched together. So he didn't share the entire emails. But as is said here, Uygur had suggested the union campaign was part of a political effort to hurt his congressional candidacy, given that IATSE, along with many unions, had endorsed one of his opponents. But emails show conversations with, this is the critical detail. Emails show conversations with IATSE go back to 2018, and frustrations had been simmering. So Cenk's version of the story is that he files his paperwork for Congress in 2019 in November 13th. And then his highly astute, politically conscious professional media workers who work for him were contacted from out of nowhere by strangers they'd never met or talked to and talked into unionizing. The first meeting we had was right here in this apartment. It's animated in the film. Where, and it was like 3 days after Cenk filed for Congress. So there was actually like a weird little like timing overlap. So if we had, let's just say like their version is true, that means that within 2 or 3 days, basically 48 hours, it was an 8 a.m. meeting because we had to get it done and then sneak into work. And we made sure to like go to work. I remember this very clearly. We're like, let's not all go to work because I don't live too far away. So like, that's why we did it here. And plus I had just the right amount of chairs, and and so we're like, let's not all go at once. So that'll look weird if we all just come walking in at once. So we trickled ourselves back into work the morning after the first meeting. It's very fucking exciting to unionize your workplace. Definitely you should do it. But if we're to take their version as being true, that means that within about that 48-hour time period, strangers talked his workers into having a union organizing meeting at one of their apartments. Give me a break, dude. Takes me 2 days to plan to tie my shoes. That's an exaggeration. Okay, good God. But it is important. The detail of IATSE endorsing Smith is absolutely a critical one to get your head around if you're interested in. I mean, it's going to be the foundation, I think, of Cenk's response. You know, this is yet more just to show, you know, congratulations on inflicting maximum damage to me. Mission accomplished. So does this sound like he was really pro-union? Just needed a little clarity? The guy is lying. Okay. All right. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. Fuck. Okay. I'm overstimulated. I'm so overstimulated. All right. Amazing. We're going to rewind.
Look it up. It's absolutely not true. You could say that if you like.
That is true. Look it up. There's a union now, but you
could look it up too.
Okay. Sorry. I know I haven't, because I haven't shown you these yet. The headlines. Are they in this one? Yeah. The 4 articles. Just read the headlines. They withheld raises and bonuses only to the unionizing workers. Oh, you want to start a union? Well, guess what? You're not going to get money you earned, motherfuckers, until you resubmit to our power. I'm interviewed in this one here, The New Republic by Kim Kelly. So I'm going to like try to get the attention of all 4 of these people. Alex Thompson is more like these 3, I think, cover labor. Hamilton Nolan and Kim Kelly especially. Hamilton Nolan wrote the In These Times one. Because like he's basically saying they're liars now. That's oversimplifying it. But like are the facts and the details in all these articles not true? I love that they fact checked them. Oh God, that just I can't tell you how fucking miserable and lonely this whole thing has been. That seriously makes my heart sing in a way that I haven't felt in a while. It's so validating that they bothered to put it in there. I'm sorry. I'm like starting to get emotional. That's so great. It's been such a fucking long fight, this whole thing. I'm so fucking pissed off that I had to even bother with it. Just to defend my friend's integrity and me and bring a little justice to the situation. Sorry about that. All right.
For organizing.
Yeah, that is absolutely not true. You could say that if you like.
That is true. Look it up. There's a union now, but
yeah, you could look it up to a bunch of liars. But this is a random thing that you're throwing in there, I guess, to just personally attack me. But there is a union.
Random thing that you're throwing in there just to personally attack me. A bunch of liars. We got to go slow. I know. You know. Yeah. I mean, why am I? I'm going to stop apologizing for going slow. Okay. I know that's probably the worst part about the going slow.
I'll tell you fact.
All right. Random.
That if you like.
That is true. Look it up.
I love that he looked right at the camera.
There's a union now, but
yeah, you could look it up to a bunch of liars. But
you could do it to Cenk referred to liars again on Sunday. So after this episode aired, this is I was going to show you this later, but he did a very similar kind of bullshitty thing here, responding to somebody about the union. Let's just click on it so we can see what he's responding to. That's information. Argonaut writes, just finished watching it, enjoyed it overall. I am concerned about that one kid who accused you of union busting. I'm not sure who to trust. There are other testimonies that dispute your claim. I'm pro-union to the extent that the employer is allowed to say no. What does that mean? But they can't bust it. What does that mean? I mean, if you say no, the whole point of the union is it's not up to the boss. I mean, you know, that's what, okay, I don't need it. It's fine. I could, whatever. It's okay. Just Cenk responds, guys, they said they did a secret vote and said the union won. Then employees came up to me and said they felt intimidated. So I had them do a legitimate NLRB vote. We accepted the union immediately after that fair vote and have had a great relationship with IATSE ever since. Total BS. Secret vote and won. So he's every single sentence is filled with rhetorical framing to buttress his bullshit. So this whole said they felt intimidated in the generational change interview. He actually mentions that union, that workers, look, I've got this article way down here, bullying. It's very similar to bullying. Let's watch this.
So what I asked for was, hey guys, can you do a vote? And by the way, there was a couple of people that came up to us and said, hey, we didn't want this, and they're kind of bullying us, right? And I don't mean IATSE, I mean some other folks that were there at the time.
So what the fuck does that mean? By the way, go subscribe to Torchlighter. It's my new YouTube channel. So he's saying that the way it went down was that some workers bullied other workers into unionizing. And according to this is why as he phrases it here, they felt intimidated. This is the reason why he didn't believe it was a union. And then he says, I had them do a legitimate NLRB vote. That means he doesn't think the first vote was legitimate. We accepted union immediately after that fair vote. That means he doesn't think the first vote was fair. Card check, as Bernie Sanders, as the film opens, card check is understood. It's when 50% of the bargaining unit or the organizing committee or whatever the hell the right word is for everybody, because the bargaining unit is a subset of whatever. But it's 50% plus one. In other words, it's democracy. And then you get a union, and the employer is not allowed to say no to a union in which through a democratic decision it is voted. And he rejects card check. As is in the film, he says he doesn't believe in card check. He told that to Ryan Grimm. Amazing. And the union is TYT union. They negotiate through their IATSE representation and through the TYT's negotiating committee or whatever. I'm not privy to any of that shit because I don't have information from that part of it. My beat is the start of it and the origin and then the cover up and all this other outside stuff. So then here's the bunch of liars. There are randos who've made it their life mission to call me a union buster ever since. They figure if they lie enough times, people will believe there is no union at TYT. I think he's about to get into that gaslight argument. Except that's not remotely true. People stay at TYT for decades because it's a great place to work. That's a sentence he sort of said to Francesca when he was screaming and yelling about how great of a boss he is.
It is sad to us to see you, honestly, act like very small when in fact you could be a lot bigger.
So, Franny, I think you're being unbelievably unfair. So you're taking 6 people, 4 of whom are like clearly doing it for money, okay, and clearly doing it for attention. And
I'm not taking anyone. I'm asking you a question.
You accuse me of incredibly unfair things. Can you allow me to respond? Franny, you know the people inside TYT, they work here 15 years, 17 years, 20 years, 17 years, and they love working at TYT. And what these assholes are doing is pretending that we're bad bosses and we're bad to our employees and we're bad to everyone that works at TYT and we do all these things and we push them out. Bullshit. Every one of those people left and they said, oh, I'm going to be bigger and better than you. And then they viciously attacked not just me, but everyone that works at TYT. Why do you think Edwin and Bart and all those guys have been there for so long? We gave people 12 weeks of paid family leave when no one else was doing it. And we did it for moms. We did it for dads. I mean, I can go on and on. Franny, to make it seem like I'm pushing people out and that I'm the bad guy here, when in fact, you know for a fact that 98% of the people that work at TYT love TYT and try to stay there forever and ever and ever. Sometimes they'll go to a different company and go, whoa, holy shit, that's bad, and come back to TYT. So please be fair and honest with your audience, because working at TYT has been amazing for those people. And all we're getting is smeared by a couple of people who literally say, we want to tear down the network. We got 75 people here that we have to provide for. And they're trying to take food off their table because me, I'm going to tear down the left-wing network. Why don't you spend your time, those people that I'm talking about, tearing down the right wing, tearing down Trump, tearing down all these people, instead of sitting there and going, oh, someone on the left is bigger than me. I'm going to tear them down. And that's what they're doing.
I think it's a really sore subject, but I did just want to ask, I think yesterday on Mark Lamont Hill's show, you did say that, that what your strategy has actually cost you and cost TYT some subscribers, and members, more importantly, who financially support the show. Speaking of putting food on 75 people's table.
People say at TYT there are people who have been there for a long time. But they figure if they lie. So he says people who say he's a union buster are liars. He's already said it in our video right here. Bunch of liars, he says. I'm going to back up 5 seconds.
That is true. Look it up. There's a union now, but
you could look it up to a bunch of liars, but
you could look it up to a bunch of liars. I know I'm like the main guy I'm sure Cenk hates. I probably edited it in. So you saw the Francesca thing where he cackles at my name, and I made the website and the film and the stuff, and but like all of this information right here, except for the bottom, and I didn't make anything up about the bottom part. I'm just saying that this is sourcing from me, but it's documents from TYT. It's shit that is internal to them. Right? It's not lies. It's evidence. It's supported by facts and evidence and paperwork. Just scroll look at all this shit. Like it's all like internal stuff. Looking for the green. There's a green. There's it's above, below. Maybe it's on one of the other ones. Yeah, right there. No, that's not the green I was looking for. The proof I titled. Do you think I'm messing around? It's not an opinion. I think in a nuanced sense, you could parse out the idea that what he did was union busting versus it wasn't union busting. You could have an argument about that, I think. We would win that argument. It's completely ridiculous for him to pretend that if you only believe what he says, it sounds like he was just being a gentle, reasonable little boss with just a little small bean little question. He just wanted a little clarity. I just want a little clarity for my workplace. I just don't want to protect everybody. But that argument is very It's not. There's no arguing that. That's still, but that is at least something you can argue about. Whether the union started based on work to combat working conditions is not an argument, because that was not Cenk's story. Same reason I can't tell you what you had for dinner last night. You had hot dogs, didn't you? Didn't you? Yeah. Oh, you're a liar if you say you didn't have hot dogs. It's like I don't get to have an opinion or insist on the truth about your meal. You had quesadillas, didn't you? Oh man, homemade quesadillas are so good. Cut up a few hot dogs, put hot dogs inside the cheese, flip it. When you learn how to properly like brown a tortilla, oh baby, that's when you're an adult. That's when you're an adult. Here we go. Here we go. No benefits. This is the everybody deserves health insurance guy. No benefits, no health insurance, no life insurance, no paid family leave. That's under leaves of absence. No sick leave, no vacation, holiday pay. All right. I know I'm getting lost. There's like, okay. All right, good. We're still under an hour. I'm going to wrap this up. I'll wrap this up in 16 hours. Don't worry. Okay, so he's already said look it up to randos. I'm just collating the data, and I'm a crazy maniac who is obsessive, and obsessive is a better probably way to put that.
This is a random thing that you're throwing in there, I guess, to just personally attack me. But
that's weird. Personally attack him with his own behavior about his public behavior too. The stuff, because he was putting shit out, and Anna Kasparian helped him. She helped to throw it out there. She signal boosted the story and called it bad faith. Anna wrote this: while I'm personally supportive of unions, this feels like it's done in bad faith. The fact that this all blew up on the day of Cenk's debate is also extremely suspicious. That's in the film. She didn't do any fact checking. Anna, you just called. All you had to do is send me a DM, say, "Hey, can I ask you some questions about the union?" Of course. I always got along with Anna. There's no reason she would have mistrusted me, or that I would have in any way misled her. I told her about my working conditions once at beach day. I don't know if she remembers that conversation, but she and I were both kind of early to it was a longer day, and I struggle with understanding what time you're supposed to show up at things. Fashionably late for me is usually wrong for me. And but anyway, it was kind of a quieter part of the day, and we were talking. And I told her about all my working conditions and how shitty it was to work for no benefits. She might not remember. Okay. Sorry. I know. Okay. Stop apologizing.
there is a union.
you mentioned
I'll tell you
guardrails.
facts. Do you want to explain facts? So facts are, yes, IATSE is at Young Turks. It's been at
So he says that because there's a union, he can't possibly be a union buster. Just like as an arsonist, if you fail to burn a house down and the structure is still standing, you can't possibly be an arsonist. If you're watching all my stuff, you know my next example is fisherman. Are you a fisherman if you don't catch a fish? I haven't caught a single fish in my whole life. I caught one, and it's because it jumped in the boat. It was scared of my bad fishing. I suck at fishing. I'm exaggerating. Obviously, I've caught fish. Obviously, I love a good fish. Make great quesadillas. I got to come up with some other ones. Leave a comment. What is another thing that you are if you fail at? Right? Astronaut. If you get hit by the moon and you get splattered, hit by the moon is very funny to actually. Oh, what's this thing coming towards me? I don't. Sorry, that cracked me up. You could die in space. You're still an astronaut. So his whole thing is that he thinks you're stupid. Okay, so I played that earlier, the Hansi call. That's the guy Hansi who called into TYT first out the post to confront the guy. So eternal credit from the labor movement to Hansi for doing that. So he said, no, I'm definitely not a union buster, and that there's no evidence. And now this is him then hanging up on Hansi, and then here's the argument he makes.
So, guys, we busted the union so hard here that there's a union here. Edwin, are you in the union? Yes. Edwin's in the union. Look at that. Oh, that's so weird. John, you in the union?
Yes, I am.
Huh. They appear to be entirely unbusted. So, guys, this is a thing that happened 4 years ago. And they, oh my God, they're the Union Busters Center. We had, Union came in.
See, and then he makes people who work there throw in on his little mesmerizing misinformation scheme. Great boss move right there, huh? So if there's a union, it can't. And by the way, TYT union's not the whole company. In fact, if you get public about this and you make noise about it, there's all sorts of things you could bring up to Cenk here. But why not complete the union? Why not finish the unionization of the company? Throw that out there. He's so proud of it. He seems to be such a strong supporter. Unionize the entire company. Sounds like they could use a lot more protections. Maybe that's why there's not a lot of other workers coming forward and speaking up about this. The only person who spoke up at all in any sense was Francesca. Ken Klippenstein tweeted, defend TYT union. He used to do stuff with TYT. Francesca tweeted support. I don't think she brought it up on air while she worked there, but she tweeted support. And Kashama Sawant brought it up on April 9th at the end of an interview with Hank Thompson. I've done my research.
I just wanted to say at the Young Turks, I know that your workers are holding an election for a union today. I wanted to send my solidarity and good wishes to them and hope everybody votes yes. And please know that my organization, Socialist Alternative, and my office stand in solidarity with everybody at the Young Turks who are unionizing. Let's go forward. Solidarity.
Thanks so much again. It was a
guys. And if there's any other instances, please send me, because there might be stuff behind TYT's paywall too. Okay, took a little break. Just had to take a break for a second here. Let's go back. This is great, and I like that he keeps pushing on him. Cenk is not in control of this story here. This is great.
So facts are, yes, IATSE is at Young Turks. It's been at Young Turks for over 5 years.
Did you or did you not reject?
Oh, did I finish it? It's only part of the union. It's like 20%. It's the first vote was like 15 people. And TOT's roughly 70 or so. Did you or did you not reject card check?
Reject a card check.
Yeah, I did. And so, in fact, card.
I mean, he doesn't believe in card check.
Look, on card check, I don't. So this is one of the issues that I'm not that progressive on. I don't believe in card check.
And let's hear what his argument is. Bernie Sanders is a big card check guy. Economic populism is Cenk's whole thing.
Check. Yes, that is the one thing I disagree with in the PRO Act. And yes, you are allowed to disagree with one part of the bill or 5% of a bill, right? And so in our case,
so we can compromise and have
my personal dealings at Young Turks. Okay, fine, we can do it.
It's not personal. It's a public.
Well, okay, interesting. You want to talk about my own personal dealings at the Young Turks? I mean, you go check my. You're on the right channel for personal dealings. It's not personal. You know what was personal to me? Living without health insurance. That felt pretty personal.
Compromise and have my personal dealings at Young Turks. Okay.
Oh, that's amazing. You want to get into my personal dealings at the Young Turks? So it's his business how he abuses his workers. It's his business how he uses misclassification to deny people benefits. It's his business to have the company run by a former health insurance executive. The guy who runs TYT was a health insurance executive for 12 years before he joined the Young Turks like 8-9 years ago. And they needed some corporate structuring. I think as a company gets bigger, as a company grows, but that's your ethical register. It's so amazing that he's trying to dodge out of this. What did he expect the guy to go like, oh, you said it's personal? Jeez. Okay. I'm so sorry. Could I get you a cold tea? Would you like a warm quesadilla, sir? Please, sir. His own personal dealings. Cenk makes his entire business to yell and scream about injustice. And he talks about the average guy, the little guy. I was making 40 grand a fucking year, roughly. I think because I did get paid overtime. When I was an independent contractor, that wasn't supposed to. Employees got overtime in the editing department because you never knew when your day would end. Sometimes it just would take longer because the show wraps at like 6 or it goes past that and you have to finish your edits. And sometimes there's stuff you got to do. It's fine. I totally didn't mind. I would have been very upset if I didn't get overtime. So I did get a little bit more money on top of the 2163, which is incredibly low. Not that, we were unionizing about the pay stuff too, but we, that wasn't the core thing. I mean, yes, most unions you're looking for a pay bump, and my rate was very low, but it was the others weren't much above it. I love that he called it his personal dealings. I can't get enough of this. I cannot get. This is great. This is a good meal for me. I'm going to be so bloated with joy.
So we
what
can
happened- you wanna
compromise
get
and
into
have
my
nuance?
personal dealings at Young Turks. Okay, fine, we can
It's
do
not
it.
personal, it's a
But
public
No,
thing.
no. Okay, no problem.
Because what it does is it reveals his actual principles. It reveals that the way he argues, or the things he argues for, the things his audience supports and believes and sends money to support, that he doesn't live them. He wants you to think he does, so he can get your money. That's why it's personal to him. He doesn't want you to know that he'll call you part-time. And TYT's own company policy, it's in one of the Substacks, I'm not going to do it every time I refer to it, is, meaning I'm not going to click over to it, is 30 hours a week. And I have papers on there showing I was working 40-hour weeks, no benefits, and we unionized. It's the most natural thing anyway. Bunch of fucking lefties. I don't know why I called them fucking lefties, but you know, TYT is staffed by liberal lefty types. Of course they're going to unionize. Personal. It's his personal dealings. Bullshit, man. Bullshit. Look how mad he is.
Problem. Okay, but let me address it. Now you got into a weirdo thing that not about policy, not about the Democrats, but about my company.
It's about policy. It's absolutely about policy. The entire problem in our country is we don't think is capitalist leeches who go to Wharton Business School like Cenk did, same school as Elon Musk, Donald Trump, and a million other ghouls. Union Buster Training Academy was their original name. Netflix, 2 seasons. Fell off after the first few episodes. Is that they don't want us to think of our jobs as personal. They don't want us to think of work. We've depoliticized work. Meaning like the whole notion of like, oh yeah, it's work. You get to be treated like shit. If you heard Cenk did the disrespect to a stranger, and we're talking thousands and thousands of dollars in my situation, you'd be like, oh my God, a stranger. Jeez, that's, but if you hear a boss mistreats a worker and you just go, well, yeah, well, you didn't like your job. You could go somewhere with it. Yeah, I get mistreated at my job. Yeah. This is the side of the like world I'm on, at least in terms of like being radicalized. This is a stupid word. I think that word is so misunderstood. But is we got to start politicizing work. We got to treat this fucking thing, because it's what we all do. Most of our lives, the majority of our lives are spent taking orders from people who don't give a fuck about you. And it's time we finally stand up. And they have a whole industry devoted to not to defeating you when you do stand up. Cenk Uygur uses 2 union busting law firms. The NLRB case revealed, because you can see who their law firms are, that they use anti-union, union avoidance law firms. Go look it up yourself. One of the law firms' names changed. I think the lawyer changed their firms in the data updates, but personal. I love how angry he's getting. I love how defensive he's getting. Oh, this is so fucking great. This is so good. You guys, you're not understanding how much healing is happening in my body right now. This is so good. I gotta back up. Okay. Oh, you want to get into the personal? It's fucking personal, and it's policy. Policy is personal. It's foreign policy. It's not a genocide. It's foreign policy. We try to absolve accountability. Part of what the project is, and tell the truth, Cenk, is about ruling class impunity and accountability. Look how much fucking effort it's taken just to get him to even get close. He's not even close, but like to have to be threatened with the truth about the story his workers lived, about the honest version of it. All this effort, all that shit that's been online that would have been around, but all this work I've had to do. Because he's dodging accountability and he's losing it because he sees himself. The guy ran for president. He told Dr. Phil, he didn't say it this way, but he joked about being an ambassador. He wants to be one of these big hot shots. He wants power. He's power crazed. And you get to be kind of power crazed when you're a worker, when you're an employer. You know, you get to do stuff to people that they have to put up with because they don't have the leverage to say no. So this stuff is very, very much policy and personal. They're not different things.
Now you got into a weirdo thing that not about policy, not about the Democrats, but about my company. Fine. So since you
no, Cenk, about your character, about the kind of person you really are. And everybody's seeing it now. Everybody knows. Everybody know. Why did it? Okay, sorry. You see? Okay.
Smeared me. Let's explain.
There's the smear. Hold on. He's been smeared. He's been smeared. It's a smear to tell the truth about Cenk. Look how mad he is.
Not about the Democrats, but about my company. Fine. So since you smeared me, let's explain. So that people come in and go, okay, surprise, we didn't ask you for anything, but we formed a union. I go,
that's not true. That is not. Okay. Sorry. You don't start a union by going to the boss and being like, we need. I mean, oftentimes you've asked for help. Oftentimes this is, and because that is what happened here, but the union process doesn't begin with the boss's consent. Here it is. Now you just have to take my word. Fair, fine. You don't believe me. But as I've been saying, after 7 months of bitching about being an independent contractor, I had a meeting with HR where I expressed my concerns. My two main areas where I feel like I'm being stolen. I didn't say it this way, but I felt like they were stealing from me. And I'm very stressed by this. I'd like to get health insurance and paid days off. I'm not even looking for a pay bump. Can I just get a fucking $173.04 when I have a day off? Because everybody else gets a paid day off. They get health insurance. They can go to a doctor if they get sick. Can I get that on your shitty, whatever the fuck benefits they are? Can I just get the same disrespect? After that meeting, they changed because I don't have evidence of, I can't show you an email that this meeting happened, but it's, so take it or leave it on my word if you think I'm not telling you that I'm looking for the classification part. Instead, they go, okay, no, we're going to make you part-time temporary. And this is when our union, I'm pointing at my monitor. I'll just point at the camera so you feel like you're the monitor. This is where our union busting really took off. Our union organizing. At this point, it was just getting kind of going, very, very minor. But that's where I was like, wait a minute, now they're calling Hank part-time? What the fuck? Now it's like we're going to do so. Now we have a mission to do something about this. Now we have a villain to stand up to, in a sense. Here's the formal request. I screenshotted these. They offered to hire me for the third time about 4 months after I was a part-time temporary worker, something like that, in October. I actually think some of this might be related to the implementation of AB 5, which is like labor regulations in California, that I'd love to get a lawyer involved. Legal Eagle, call me, buddy. I'd love to get involved to get some, I don't have the sophistication to dial in on all that stuff. But you can read it. Sorry, I can't scroll it the way it's set up there on the Substack thing. But the bottom half of it is really the critical stuff. Hey, so which hiring date are you prorating my bonus to? Last October? June 11th? October 14th? The one we're about to do? That's a lot of money. I've been working 40-hour weeks ever since. Can I get paid? This is their opportunity to do something about it. This is me asking. Their answer was no. This is a different way, the way that they wrote this. That's corporate speak for go stick it up your ass. Go fuck yourself is what they told me. So here's Cenk going on. Okay, quick edit there. I had to take a break here. Let's get back into it. Let's see where we are.
About the Democrats, but about my company. Fine. So since you smeared me, let's explain. So that people come in and go, okay, surprise, we didn't ask you for anything, but we formed a union. I go, guys, great.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We just looked at the part where we did ask him for stuff as if we're supposed to follow his exact rules. But he was surprised by the union. That means we did a good job not telling our boss that we were trying to stop his workplace practices and the conditions that we needed to improve. That means because we were careful. We knew. Let's not talk about, and just a general advice for when you start unionizing your workplace, don't do it on Slack. It's big surveillance. Don't use company phones. Don't use company texting. Whatever the hell. Don't keep it away. You got to be careful. It gets really exciting. It's kind of cloak and daggery. You kind of, and I didn't have any problem with the people. I mean, they had already started. The union drive was dormant. It was frozen. I just woke it up. I just watered the flowers. I just put a little water on it, melted the ice, some coffee grounds, some pizza crusts. So are you supposed to put those in your garden? No, I don't know. Maybe that's not okay. I didn't need to coerce anybody. We had all had our own experiences working for this place. And we liked each other. We were pals. We were good at working together because we were good editors and good graphics people and everything else. And we knew each other's jobs, especially in the editing department, because you had to cover for other editors when they took a time off. It was, you know, you had to know how to do everything. So we were editors. One reason I like editing and woodworking is editors and woodworkers they like to share tips. always glad to show someone something that they learned. That is kind of true. So there was solidarity. Solidarity is stronger than people like Cenk. Than anybody, honestly, not just people like Cenk. But bosses don't like solidarity. Union busting is what happens when solidarity busting fails. Solidarity busting is what society does all the time by keeping us separated, tired, scared, worried, racist, sexist, all those different things. Individualism is a big component. Maintaining solidarity busting. Then when people say, actually, we're not going to let those things divide us. We're going to unite into some sort of collective consciousness here, in a sense, because we're stronger if we're together. We might have slightly different material needs. We might have different opinions on stuff, but solidarity forms. Solidarity busting fails. Now we're a union. Union is extreme solidarity. Union busting is extreme solidarity busting. That stuff I just said I'm going to put in the film somehow. I like the solidarity busting thing. Let's keep going. All right. Super interesting stuff, guys. I hope Jubilee lets me put this shit up. I might have to edit it a bunch. Yeah. Okay. Let's see.
Prove it. They say, oh, we had a secret vote. And then people come up to me, other employees.
That's what a card check is.
On.
They said we had a secret vote. So one thing you've noticed is, especially those of y'all who pay attention closely to Cenk's arguing with people and screaming and yelling and stuff, he strawmans constantly. It's his favorite thing. He's been hired by George Lucas and the Wizard of Oz to make strawmen for the strawman army. That's the droid army. I don't know why I went with that. The droid army, just imagine straws. Okay, why did I try to save that one? Okay. All Cenk does is spit out straw men because his logic, his brilliant genius lawyer brain logic, only works if against the false and the shallow and the bad faith nominally ingrained in some grain of not even truth, but some grain of the other person's argument, but it's the most bad faith interpretation. And then his argument makes sense. Then the logic is impenetrable because you can easily smack over the straw men, just like the droids in Phantom Menace. Those blue blobs knocked them right over. And they would say something hilarious on the way down. Oh, the pain. Okay, sorry. Now I'm stuck on it. So this whole thing is like he's not an authoritative source on this. Don't trust anything he says. They said they had a secret vote. Yeah, card check. Card check is where your workers unionize and they say, yeah, okay, more than half of us want this union to be a thing, so you recognize it now. Recognizing the union is the first step in the process.
This misleading language is designed to obscure the fact that they had refused voluntary recognition. Actual voluntary recognition marks the start of the negotiation phase, but TYT refused to negotiate because they refused to recognize, insisting instead on a new election at a later date, buying themselves time during which management would employ the array of coercive and deceptive union busting techniques. Delay is an extremely common union busting tactic. This guy here, Martin J. Levitt, he was a professional union buster for 30 years, but his conscience finally caught up to him for all the damage he did.
Everything. Delay was one of my favorite tactics. It wears you down. It frustrates you.
Then it's called voluntary recognition. You get one chance. If you reject it, you can't voluntarily recognize again. It's called, I don't know if it's called this, but in the film, it's labeled involuntary recognition. So Cenk wants credit for recognizing the union after 2 months of union busting because he rejected card check. He didn't voluntarily recognize it. That's what the Young Turks Union put out there. Let's go to tellthetruthcenk.com, scroll down to sources. Here is where TYT Union announces itself. Here's the timeline. February 12th, 2020, February 21st, 2020. Critical 9-day period here. So TYT was delivered a letter, a formal letter by courier that said, you are now a union, or we're from IATSE, we're representing this union here at your company. And this is at the same time as that happened, this account went live. Someone published it at 9:03 a.m. on February 12th. Okay? You can read it. 9 days go by. There's no activity. Nobody says nothing. What's going on here? Now, before this February 12th, Dan Evans, Dan from the internet, was pulled into a meeting with TYT. This is what happened.
Hassan leaves, some other people I enjoy leave, you leave. I hear about the union things.
February 2020.
I was brought into a meeting because I was suspected of organizing or being a part of organizing it.
When?
And
I need slow down. Tell me every detail, man. This is amazing.
I'm not sure how much I want to talk about this.
Okay.
But I will say that after producing a show, I was called into a meeting by someone higher up in the network, and I was asked about if I had heard about these things. And I was kind of...
That's union busting. Management was sniffing around because union organizing drives get leaky. You know, it's impossible to keep it completely separated, especially in that final stage right before you're about to come forward.
Like pretty sure I was leaving, and I felt like I was running my limits of pushing this network as left as I could possibly do it as one.
So he explains that it informed his decision to leave the company. So the Young Turks Union comes forward. Losing track of my track. Here we go. 9 days go by. Jeff Waldorf writes, "This is wonderful news." He's actually in the film. Jeff, would love to talk to you about the documentary. I know that you're a strong union supporter. Then TYT Union tweets it out on a Friday. This is probably the day that Cenk says he's all upset and stuff. When we announced our decision to go union with IATSE over a week ago, we had hoped the Young Turks would respect our choice and voluntarily recognize our union. We are dismayed to report that they have refused. TYT Union, I'm going to retweet that. You should go retweet these. You could scroll it down, look at it all yourself. At 9:40 a.m. This beat by beat kind of thing is in the doc. So let's go to post engagement. I think this is where IATSE also put it out there. They should be at the top or something. But yeah, here's IATSE. 9:45. Today, the Young Turks refused voluntary recognition of the TYT Union. This is a disappointing decision from an organization that presents itself as progressive. Join us in telling the Young Turks to respect their so-called principles and respect their workers. Gonna retweet that one too. We got to retweet this one. I don't like retweeting too fast. I feel like I got to give it a 10 count. Let's just do that one. All right. So this is the pitch. This is where the battle becomes pitched. Is that how you say that? Suddenly, the archers launch the flaming arrows into the soaked oil in the middle of the field, and the king sent forward the Irish who he promised meals to, and then they died too, and then he started cheering. Braveheart, guys, Braveheart. I don't remember how we got to all this, but that is denying card check. That is Cenk refusing to recognize the union. This next step to recognition is negotiation. It's very well laid out in the film. It's one of the showpieces of the film is the timeline thing that kind of we fly around this timeline to sort of keep track of it because it's kind of complicated. It's not that complicated. But you delay in order to buy time to do union busting. So that's what card check rejection means. We're buying time so that we can try to stop this union. Now, if TYT had said, because I think it's important to recognize, and if we can find Cenk's tweets, it's fair to show these. There we go. He writes, "This is not true. See letter below from TYT." So this first statement here is a lie. He's I mean, if you think my logic is bad here, but he's saying that what's not true is that he refused voluntary recognition. When you don't recognize the union and you start doing union busting stuff, like they did the captive audience meeting on the 12th, that was the day the union came forward. He threw papers, he threatened somebody, he said he thought it was a prank, he screamed. It's in read the Huffington Post article. It has some details about it. Here's their statement. This is where the insinuations begin about whether the union was started by insiders or outsiders. The fact that IATSE has failed to respond to TYT at the bottom, instead opting to issue misleading statements, suggests that there are other motives at play. What, like that one of your workers wanted to go to a hospital if he got sick? That was the motive. You wanted to end the rampant disrespect? Those were the motives. But what motives were they implying? Because in the same tweet here, they're showing that they were notified by somebody, because I think he even says it. I'm sure see internal email sent to us by a wonderful union member. So here's an email that shows that IATSE was organizing canvassing stuff or whatever for Christy Smith, Cenk's opponent. So IATSE endorsed Smith in this congressional race, and that is what they will lean on in order to suggest that the political foes started the union. As you've seen in the film, there's more to it. They do this huge screed on the following Monday, all about IATSE. Anna Kasparian attacked IATSE like crazy that night during that forum. The union busting wasn't brought up during the forum. They made this big stink about, the timing is suspicious because there's the debate tonight. You can go watch it yourself. California State University, Northridge, CSUN Candidate Forum, it's called. They didn't bring it up. Why did Christy Smith not? If they had set up all these, this Rube Goldberg machine of starting a union in November at the Young Turks in secret with those idiot, stupid workers who didn't know what they were getting into. Rubes and master power play. Cersei Pelosi putting us all into her evil little scheme to take down one of her enemies. Cenk is not worth this kind of effort. Anyway, and it's the stupidest plot in the world. Why would you bet that the guy would be dumb enough to bust the union? Because the thing is, he needs this narrative to prevent his audience from learning the truth, because the truth is all about the shit about it that I keep talking about with my employment, the conditions. That's the stuff he doesn't want people to know. He'll call that a smear. I'm just willing to stand out and put my fucking head out here and make a big stink about it and be a goofy weirdo. This is a political act, what I'm doing. I'm using my freedom of speech. I didn't move across the fucking country in 2013 to go work for the Young Turks because I don't believe in my bullshit. I believe in my bullshit. Live their principles and compromise. In every circumstance, people are, I think, expecting perfection out of people is way overboard. If I just had kind of an unpleasant experience at TYT, I got this, the pay sucked, and coffee was cool. I liked petting the lizard. That was fun. I learned a lot. Appreciate that part. Met some cool people. Got to see. Can't think of his last name. What the fuck? Sam. He's a famous Sam. Not Cedar. That's so weird. Where the hell is his last name? Sam something. Oh God. Sam Harris. Got to see. What I mean is, I was working when he showed up to do an interview, and nobody greeted him at the door. It was like early days or something. It's like, so he all of a sudden, I think I'd heard that he was coming in for an interview, and all of a sudden Sam Harris just walks in the door and he goes like this. He goes, "Young Turks." Let me just get my hands in the frame. He goes, "Young Turks." And he kind of looked around, and then someone went up to him. Not that he was being like a Kramer. He didn't come crashing in and spin around and go, "Whoa!" But it was just like one of those, like, "Hey, somebody come over here." Like, it was totally fine. It wasn't like, I'm not trying to call, but it was really just like, I was like, "Oh, that's Sam Harris." Because you see people you recognize. I saw David Sirota once. Looks just like David Sirota. Sam Harris came in and Young Turks. Again, like, it was very fine. It wasn't like, but it just jumps in my brain. So I got a lot out of it. And if that's all that ever happened, and I just was like, yeah, Cenk doesn't really, he's kind of, you see the sausage get made, I wouldn't be making this thing. I wouldn't be doing this shit. This is a nightmare. I am trapped in this dungeon, and I need help getting out of it because I need to finish the movie so I can finally like close this loop in my brain about this whole fucking thing. It's devastating. This is horrible for my future, my health, my finances. I'm just pissed that I had to do it. Put me in this position where I have to stand up for myself. Well, okay. I was bullied as a kid. I was bullied in 7th grade. This brought up some of that. I'm not going to get bullied again. I'm too tall for that. Although I do have bad wrists and a bad back, and I would be easily defeated by almost anybody in physical combat, unless it's Rocket League. So let's get back into it. All right. I mean, there's just so much. I'm sorry. Like this, the workers tweeting out help, trying to get people. It was just so clearly. I know. I know. Okay. God damn it. All right. Let's back up 5.
Prove it. They say, "Oh, we had a secret vote," and then people come up to me.
They said, "Oh, we had a secret vote." That's just the most convenient possible way to put it. That's the straw man stuff. We're reconnecting back. Okay.
Other employees.
That's what a card check
hold
is.
on. Other employees come up to me and go, "They're intimidating us. We didn't ask for this."
We're getting.
So why is it okay for him to say to put out any worker's story? Why is he not talking about the other employees? Other is one of those words that could mean different others. I'm one of the others. When is Cenk gonna? If you ask him, if you make us think about it, say, "So you had a guy part-time, huh?" If you want to go to the Substack and look at all the proof before you make in case you want to, it's all there. No benefits for 12 months, full time. And is that why your workers unionized? Is he ever going to say that? Is Cenk ever going to say, "Yes, my audience, I was found in violation of Section 7 of the NLRA, and I want you to know that the reason this union began was because I had somebody classified part-time. They worked 40-hour weeks for 0 benefits." Is that so hard, Cenk? It's not that hard to tell that. It'll feel good to tell the truth, Cenk. You know it's haunting. You know it's got to be in there like Edgar Allan Poe's clock in his floorboards. Tick-tock, tick-tock. The heart beats dark and deep, and the ravens are talking to me. Quoth the pigeon. What if Edgar Allan Poe just like a really lame bird? Why am I? Okay, let's not. Okay, see, that would have been like 20 minutes on a comedy stage. Edgar Allan Poe with alternate birds. Hey, there goes the Edgar Allan Poe guy. I'm Larry, the Edgar Allan Poe guy. Okay, all right, okay, sorry. So now he's getting into his bullshit. So Cenk is very clever. I think he's dumb, but he's clever. Hubris plays a role in that math equation, right? The square root of hubris squared, something like that. So now he's got a whole fib about how this thing went down. And I'm not speaking for anything in terms of other conversations. I wasn't privy to all those conversations. In fact, there were conversations that people had because the way the union organizing works is a small group starts, then they slowly expand to people they trust, then they slowly expand to people they trust. Meetings start to, communication starts to expand, gets more people, more complication, more organizing is required. This is true for every scale of organizing. Eventually you bring it to, and you have to be strategic about who you talk to. Can we trust that person? Let's hold off. Let's just get this thing going first. And then you reach out to a union you might be able to join. And we were post-production workers, so we reached out to the post-production worker union in Los Angeles, as well as all over the world. But IATSE's a big union. And then as time goes on, and people have different feelings about it, they might have different foundational layers. They might have different relationships with management, even though they might still end up being in the union. Maybe there's a boss who misinterprets things or strawmans what people say to them in order to make things frame them in the most convenient way for how they operate in order to make their argument, because they're flailing desperately to avoid accountability. So don't trust what he's saying here.
Way off base here.
I know,
hear
because you brought us off base with a random attack against
you brought
me.
up guard.
It's random. I like that. That's like supposed to be. He calls people randos and random, and like this is random. What the heck, man? I think mosquitoes are kind of random. There's probably an algorithm that they follow. I mean, they're not so random that like you get hit by one while you're like on an airplane. You're like, oh, that's pretty random. And, you know, it's like, oh, it's because I'm near the swamps. Oh, it's because I'm in Wisconsin. Don't get me started, Wisconsin mosquitoes.
Let me just say one final
let
thing.
me finish.
Oh, he's mad. Let him finish, Nick. Got Gaines. I thought I was going to call him Giles. Let him finish, Nick.
Because you're not going to smear me and not let me explain, okay?
Oh, that's like two emojis combined right there, right? The hands emoji. I know it's prayer hands, but it's also like thank you, and like one of the smiley ones. That's funny. Not gonna smear me. I'm being kind to Cenk, by the way, y'all. I'm showing him way more respect than he showed me or you or his audience or anybody in Jubilee's audience. I try to make his case. If you see the film, you'll see it. There's like 20, I showed it to a guy who's like a pro editor, like a really talented dude. And he's like, I'm starting to feel sorry for them. Why is that? I'm like, yeah, that's what I want. I want to show how brutal the mainstream media treated Cenk without abandoning my like, you know, kind of quest of the film, the narrator's omniscience. In order to set up the idea and what is, because the movie's about misinformation and it's about media and journalism and how this was covered, how it was received. Thus, it took so long. There's a whole screen that it's like, I don't know if it's 900, that's too much, but it's like 100 maybe tweets from people that were attacking Young Turks workers. Took forever. Each one of those opened up in Photoshop and repositioned and set up on a big array. I actually don't really like how I presented it. It's kind of, you know, but it took forever. And so I go out of my way. Here's the editing timeline. I got to update that actually. But to illustrate the ferocity of the online left's defense of Cenk when he was smeared by the New York Times. And then he runs on this smear a whole bunch of times, so he keeps bringing it up, which is funny. But then nobody came to the Young Turks workers' defense. You know, some people mentioned it. Ben Shapiro did a story, stuff like that. It got brought up a little. But the online left was very quiet about Cenk's union busting. And honestly, I think that's pretty fucking shameful. But also that's kind of, on the other hand, that is the nature of power. The nature of this sort of thing is that someone like Cenk gets to spray all this fog, make a big smoke screen. Nobody can see through it, or you can vaguely see through it, or maybe I heard something. I don't know. And then the news is crazy. We get all this other horrors in the planet. So it swipes away. All he's got to do is just be misleading. He doesn't have to be accurate. All he has to do is create enough smoke screen for it to just sort of be vague enough to be washed away into the over the waterfall of history. Even Watanabe on the Better Bad podcast put out misinformation about it, and that really bothers me. He didn't do it on purpose. It wasn't intentional.
They actually did unionize the producers, but that was after I had left.
But he clearly has no idea what happened. And I'm very eager to maybe talk to him at some point because I know him. Before he was Hasanabe, when he was just Cenk's huge nephew in 2014, he knew I did stand-up, and he would come up to me and be like, hey, man, hey, you do stand-up, you got comedy? Like, what are you, like, he would, like, ask me about comedy. And we would have, like, brief little conversations about stand-up comedy. You might say I inspired him. No, I don't think that's the case at all. But, you know, he was curious about that kind of shit. He was just some dude who's big. I'm 6'3", and I was like, man, guy, fucking turn the sliders down on those shoulders. I always like to point out, he does have an above average size head. He just has a way too big shoulders. Like in video game slider, just shoulders all the way up. You know, in video games, I'm sure you do. Of course you do. You're the most sophisticated audience in history. So, more of this. This is so great. Look at this guy. I love his face.
Okay, so then I said, since people felt intimidated, it's okay.
You felt intimidated.
No, how do you know? You're not even the.
You felt intimidated. So the whole premise of Jenks is that he's protecting those people who were intimidated. Meanwhile, he threatened somebody at a meeting on the 12th. He fired that person the morning after his election loss. He made a big old stink. It's inherently lopsided from one worker, or sorry, for, you know, the relationship between a worker and their boss. That's inherently a imbalance, which is why they don't like unions, because unions bring it slightly down, changes the leverage. We don't have to consent to this anymore because we're stronger together. That's all it is. The whole fucking thing, this whole scam of America is about my little button thing there. Okay, I like the blue. And the whole scam of America is that we're prevented from standing up to the bosses. Look what they're doing. Look what they get away with. Destroying swathes. They're going to erase human consciousness from the universe because we're not going to stand up to them. Look what they can get away with. I mean, on the grand scale of the billionaires and the people that Cenk aspires to become. So now he's so he's just leaning into this bullshit. People need to ask him, what working conditions drove your workers to unionize? When did they start organizing the union? And did you have a guy classified part-time while he worked 40-hour weeks and got zero benefits? And do you do that as a practice to classify people as independent contractor or in other ways to deny them benefits? Ask him that. Ask him that, journalists.
You weren't there. You're just making stuff up.
Because you're the one that...
Cenk was clearly intimidated because suddenly solidarity was facing him down. He calls himself a democratic capitalist. Good at shot. He calls himself a democratic capitalist, where he says that, I just think that capitalism needs to be checked by democracy. Bernie says he's a democratic socialist. I'm a democratic capitalist. And I would take a world designed by Cenk over a world designed by Josh Hawley or Ted Cruz. I think Cenk's capitalism, and I experienced a very acute, like direct radicalizing version of it. So I have major, obviously on the personal level, it's a horror because he's a hypocrite and a coward and a liar. All those things that, thrive within the way that we select leaders in this world, this kind of like dark triad personality traits types of stuff. But I think if he were in Congress or something, he would not have the world as bad as it is. I think he'd probably have taxes slightly higher, maybe. Like, I don't think he'd get into Congress and be like, I am now going to be. He's a piece of shit on like trans issues for sure. And the pivot that he and Anna have been making with the company is obviously something that I know a lot of y'all have been paying close attention to. So don't think I'm trying to give the guy his flowers. I'm just saying that I'm just saying that in terms of how bad capitalists can be, his would be slightly better. He would probably lean more towards a Nordic type of thing, in a sense. That's all I'm kind of saying here. Even though obviously I have some issues with the motherfucker. And he can call me a motherfucker too. I think that would be fair. We get one per month. Oh, he made it personal. I feel like I'm the most victimized man in the world. He loves that reactionary victimization stuff. I think that's something very relatable. They call me a Nazi. When he screams about being called a Nazi, he's not actually complaining. I know it sounds like he is. I mean, he is. But like what he's doing is he's saying to the right, I'm one of you. They call you guys Nazis. They call me a Nazi too. Isn't that unfair? Aren't we being unfairly maligned for being called Nazis, even though the Republicans are funded and run by straight up fucking fascists and a guy who hailed Hitler on his first day? Back up a little here just to restart it.
Intimidated.
No, how do you know? You're not even you weren't there. You're just making stuff up.
Because you're the one that farted.
So hold on.
You're the one.
Cenk is just such a good old boss. He just wanted to fix everything. It's amazing.
That went to the NLRB and had to,
what the hell is this?
Okay, he brought up the NLRB. I'm going to get in touch with this dude. I really feel like we're going to see him on the show someday. I hope. He seems like he might be kind of fun to talk to. I'm really curious. Anybody who's I don't know. Yeah.
You don't want to shift the answer. You just want to filibuster.
Okay,
All right, they're yelling over each other, so we're going to go. Let's maybe even try captions here. Whoa, those are big. All right, a little smaller. That's a little better.
and had a,
So he brought up the NLRB five back. Listen to the you really hear the adolescent sort of fugue state Cenk is in right now because he's feeling very abridged. Is that the right word?
Just making stuff up.
because you're the one that fought it.
So hold on.
You're the
You're
one
the
that
one that fought it. So hold on.
went to the
won't even let me
NLRB and had a.
answer.
You're the one that went to the NL.
What the hell
you
is
won't-
this?
you don't want to
Is this
shift
some
the
sort of
answer.
What the hell was this? So Cenk didn't go to the NLRB. Not that I think in the heat of the moment, he's just they're batting back and forth. People's words get twisted and stuff. But two cases were, you've seen it. Two cases at the NLRB were generated. You can click on those links if you like, and they take the NLRB site is a little bit, yeah. So this is one of them. So yeah, it did end up at the NLRB. It did end up being adjudicated that he had violated Section 7 of the NLRA. This showed up in my mailbox, and I was just like, "Wow, this is crazy." This was like this is when the film became kind of like, "Oh man," I'm like, I had like a 20-minute edit by when this showed up in 2022, and I was like, "Well, I got to put this in the movie. There has to go." I don't know. Oh God! And then then it becomes like, well, this whole thing is about credibility in media, and then the whole thing just kind of ballooned into. And my sequence in the movie about this is one of my favorite sequences. I think it's really nicely edited with the way the penguin turns off the security camera and stuff.
Speaking of cowardly silence, back here in 2022, this notice from the NLRB informing workers of their rights showed up in my mailbox as part of a settlement agreement related to the firing of a worker from the bargaining unit. They're required to physically mail former employees, email current employees, and post this in a prominent location for 60 days. A released document from a FOIA request indicates it was placed on the wall-facing kitchet and water cooler. As a daily kitchet user, I can assure you that's a heavily trafficked spot. Only marijuana would have missed it. Look close. That last one? It quotes management's rule that concerns be brought directly to management rather than via Slack or emails that get sent to broad audiences. They were worried the truth would get out and use the leverage they have over workers to keep the audience in the dark. Secrecy favors the powerful. For 60 days, evidence that a prominent progressive CEO violated labor laws sat on the wall by the coffee machine and nary a peep from any of the journalists or hosts at TYT.
I just like the editing in that part. I like the editing in all of it, but I have some faves. So he knows about the NLRB. What the hell is this? So Jake is feeling very cornered. He's very upset. How did he not think this kind of thing would happen? I think this sort of reflects the blind spot that is also clear by the fact that did nobody at his company in his treehouse of dipshits say, "Hey boss, we're all executive assholes. We're all overpaid for for how much work we do, making sure these workers are maintaining their labor right. How about we think about this for a minute? Is there any downsides to saying no to this union? Could this possibly come back to us? Does it maybe reflect poorly on a brand built around progressive principles that we would now risk being labeled union busters, even if let's just grant that they believe this bullshit? Cenk could have come out and said, I had suspicions at first, but we confirmed this with people who were there. We talked to people. It's a legit union started by my workers. I got to be honest with you. I don't think it's the right choice, but I will respect it. I will volunteer. He could have made a statement that acknowledged his hesitation. They didn't do that, though. They tried to fight it. And that blind spot, that lack of foundational comprehension of how powerful, and honestly, I wish it was more powerful by a lot, but people care about this kind of stuff. Labor stories. I sort of thought when I put the film out that it would take on a life of its own, and a lot of the promotion would sort of take care of itself, and I would just finish it and make sure that it was really great. But it's not been like that, and that's okay. I've made mistakes, and I've tried, and I've learned a lot from this. And it was just to never do anything like this again. I will never. I want to make more films, but I want to do it in groups, or if I get some funding, I can do something on my own. Hey, but how did he not think that there would be downsides to being a union buster? And maybe you have to consider that perhaps the calculation he made, and again, it's speculation, is that he deemed that it would be better to be known as a union buster than as a boss who treats his workers poorly. Which is what he wrote. He didn't write it exactly like that. But he wrote here, he goes, I don't know where I go to get my reputation back. Some portion of people will now forever know me as a union buster, and much worse, as a boss who treats his employees poorly. So if you wanted to do that damage, you already have. So what else is there left to do but vote? If you wanted to do that damage. Oh, it looks like you were trying to hurt me. There's a really easy way to avoid either of these, which is treat your employees with the basest level of respect. Just treat them all with the same disrespect. Well, that's fairness. And don't do union busting. He acts like it's the worker's fault for him becoming a union buster. He's not accountable. He's a ruling class impunity goblin. I just made that phrase up. It's not very good. So he's the victim. It's unfair. What the hell is this? He's being ambushed. Wah. The guy in the cardigan who dresses like Mr. Rogers is coming at me. This guy does a great job, though. He really is. He got a good confidence about the way he's battling him. Jake is kind of intimidating. You know, he's got that. He wears businessman boss costume. I watch like there's like anime shows. I don't even know if I call it anime, but animated shows that are like vampires and they're doing crazy shit and they have like palaces and stuff. And the vampires' clothes, and they're always like scary and skinny and weird, and they're freaky and stuff. But I'm always like, those are the capitalists. They have to dress up in their vampire costumes. You never see one in just like basketball shorts and like a spouse beater. We call them. That's what they're called now. This is incredible.
You just want to
ambush?
filibuster.
Okay, let me answer. So then I said, for God's sake, just do a vote. No
You just
problem.
want to filibuster. Guy's reaction. And he's got the flag up too. Look at him. I mean, part of it is they do need to move it along. Like I guess for
Filibuster.
Okay, let me answer.
He's
So
about
then
to
I
say
said,
bullshit. Sorry, I know we're jumping right now, but back 5 seconds. I think Cenk starts to say bullshit.
You don't want to
is this
shift
some
the
sort of
answer. You just
weirdo
want to
ambush?
filibuster.
Okay, let me answer. So then I said, for God's sake, just do a vote. No problem. You get a union the very next day. They did a vote.
No problem. The very next day, after the 2 months, I think I already got into that. No problem. He's just, is this unreasonable? All just very reasonable.
And they passed, and they got a union immediately. As soon as I was sure that.
I'm pausing a lot too because I think there's a 5-second thing with copyright claims. That's kind of partially why I'm not. That'll probably help me when I do this upload. It might take multiple attempts to get it uploaded.
All of our employees were not being intimidated or bullied. They instantly got a union, and we've had a union.
There's the bullied charge. So all he was trying to do was make sure nobody was being intimidated or bullied. And in order to do that, he had to intimidate and bully his workers for 2 months using union busting law firms and all the union busting tactics that are leaned upon by bullies like Cenk in order to inflict material and psychological harm on them. This is such fucking bullshit. Back up.
As soon as I was sure that all of our employees were not being intimidated or bullied, they instantly.
Then why did they put out public statements about the bad motivations, about the other motives? Why did they put out statements like that? Why did they make it a public thing? Why not internally reconcile the legitimacy of the union? See, he's casting himself as the protector, which is the opposite. I didn't experience the union busting itself. I felt greatly insulted by the slander, by the smear about how the union started. Because somebody needs to ask him that. So wait, you're saying that your workers were contacted? People need to get into the details of this. So they were who got in touch with them? When? So you started your campaign, and then who reached out to your workers? How did that happen? Have you ever heard of a tactic like that from the establishment? It was just coincidence that he became a politician. And in terms of like using the union and his campaign for leverage, absolutely. Are you kidding me? What kind of idiot do you think we would be? And I was gone by the time we would have made those decisions in terms of when to come forward or whatever. As far as I know, I don't think anything on the 12th was related to his that night of or whatever. But I would have absolutely pushed for maximizing leverage using his campaign. 100%. Why not? You're just going to ignore the real world you live in because why? I don't understand why you wouldn't. I think you're a fool for not doing that. This is a battle for people's livelihoods and their lives. This is an important and it's a demonstration of our strength. And if he's a politician running for Congress, of course, that's going to be a factor in whether or not this you when and why and where you come forward and how. I would have been all in on that. They probably would have been like, geez, Hank, chill the fuck out, dude. We don't have to go that hard. But him acting like this whole thing was just a big him protecting his workers is nonsense.
Recently got a union, and we've had a union for 5 years.
For 5 years. The ratification took 18 months. 18 months later, TYT union announces unanimous ratification of the contract. So you know what happens during those 18 months, which is quite a long time to negotiate. I think there are stats about the average negotiation. I think it does usually take like a year. I'm not quite sure exactly. But guess what doesn't happen? Don't got to pay those union rates. Don't got to do anything that the union wants because you haven't yet ratified the contract. This is stage 2. Stage 1 is union organize, critical moment where the boss recognizes, and then there's contract negotiation leading to contract ratification. So you can drag that on, though. And that's a known union busting tactic, which is where bosses try to slow this down, drag it on, because they're still using their anti-union law firms to do the negotiating. They still have these demons and sharks, although I think sharks are kind of cool animals. Not their fault they're so scary. Katy Perry tried to fix that with her dancing, but Jaws still reigns in the psyche of Americans. So he's got these evil union busting lawyers doing his dirty work for him. Now, I mean, I don't know how he says, it's the greatest negotiations in history. But 18 months tells me, especially in the context of the union busting and his disposition and his training as a Wharton School of Vampires graduate, that they would have tried to employ the anti-union tactic of wearing the union out. You can withdraw from the union. You don't have to actually ratify the contract. You can create, it's still another phase in union busting. He makes it seem like it was just the most reasonable thing. So actually, they actually haven't had a union for 5 years, if we're really going to be pedantic. 2021, October. So it'll be 5 years in October of 2026. If my math checks out. I think it does. His tone is amazing. Just that voice. But Mom, I wanted the cookies, so I threw a rock at the cookie store. Mom. You know, he just sounds like a spoiled kid, desperate to maintain the conditions in which he gets away with things.
There's people who are like
just me.
In response to public pressure, but okay.
So the guy who said in response to public pressure, I'm thinking to recognizing the union because he was answering Cenk's first comment. But now here, I think Cenk might be.
Who are making stuff up 24/7, and they keep telling people like you that we rejected a union.
So there's people making stuff up 24/7. There are people who are pointing to links that show third-party sources of Cenk's union busting 24/7. I don't do it 24/7. I do it more than I wish I had to. Yeah, Cenk, tell the fucking truth so I can be done with it. Jesus Christ, the cover-up is worse than the crime, man. It's gonna come up. Someone's gonna come at you with all this shit and make you explain it. End it, for God's sakes. Fucking end it. So now someone has to ask Cenk, is all this made up? Is all this made up? Are these NLRB cases made up? All the proof, all the documents? Did I forge those documents? Absolutely not. Did someone make up the emails that were leaked to Alex Thompson for the Politico article? No. But if you ask Jubilee's audience the truth, not that they believe him, I'm saying, but what do we got? Back up again, 5 seconds. There are people who are like, oh wait, no, that's the guy in public response. The caption's a little bit mixed. There's people who make up 24/7.
Who are making stuff up 24/7, and they keep telling people like you that we rejected a union when we didn't.
Nick Gaines. He rejected the union. What am I doing? I want to talk to Nick. Nick, let's talk, buddy. If you're watching this, put a comment down. Let's connect somehow. I'm gonna probably reach out too as well. It's bullshit, man. It's just amazing. The hubris is unbelievable. So see, he's telling Nick that he is the one who is being lied to. As Cenk told Peter and Jen, and by the way, if you're a fan of their show and you want to help the project, reach out to them, let them know that they were lied to by Cenk and someone. I mean, I'm gonna send them an email too. I'm not just trying to make you do the work for me, but like if you want to help see me on their show someday, we could talk about this because they straight up just lied. Let's watch the end here. This is the part that's going to be in the movie for sure because it's really eerie. I want you to hear that TikTok music that we're like when they're like, "What's inside this old tunnel?" You know, that kind of stuff. I hate that. I get so scared with those old tunnel videos. Oh man, look at this can. Look what we found. Oh my god, a bed. It's eerie. After they go on and on for a while here, Cenk talks about before this he actually says he might be the most attacked man in the world. He says to them because the chat is in there saying, why is chat saying you're a union buster?
If you ever worked at TYT, you don't really want to work anywhere else. And I'm super proud of that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know why people so why are people saying in our chat you're a union buster? They don't know the whole story. Like I think that's
and I don't blame them, Jen. I don't blame them because all they heard was from one side, and these guys saying, "Oh my God, they're union busters," etc. From that one miscommunication from like 5 years ago, right? So they don't have most of the people saying that they don't even realize we have a union. They don't realize that we had two different union contracts with them. They don't realize that both IATSE is perfectly happy with us. All the employees are perfectly happy with us. So I don't blame the people who've been misled. I blame the people who are misleading them.
And it's done.
Boom. And she believes him.
Done on purpose. It's totally done on purpose. I mean,
he turned her into a sucker. He lied to her. That moment, though, that this Substack player.
It's all done on purpose.
So we had two different union contracts with us. So I don't blame
this sentence. I don't blame people who've been misled. I blame the people who are misleading them. There's an eeriness to that. Are you feeling scared? I'm sorry. Like and subscribe. There's something very like, whoa, this is like twisted fucking, because he is talking to people he knows trust him. He knows he's lying, and he's blaming someone else, largely me. I think is obviously the primary person who's out there doing all this, and saying that people who think he's a union buster are being lied to. And he doesn't blame the people who are getting lied to. He blames people who are lying. He's lying. This is misinformation in action. This is how power gets away with stuff. They trust him. He knows it, and he's taking advantage of it. And that's really fucking weird. I think there's just, I don't quite know if how it's going to be in the film, but there's just something ethereal. I don't know what the right phrasing is, but this moment feels very powerful to me. It has a real weird energy about it. And I want to figure out a way. I won't know until the timeline is like really edited until I start making those decisions. But he doesn't blame people who've been misled. He only blames people who are out there doing the misleading.
Blame the people who've been misled. I blame the people who are misleading them.
And it's done on purpose.
Amazing. Amazing. There's a little more here. I think he gets kicked off. The flags are going up. Oh yeah, the little red flag fills up. People like you, people are lying that we rejected the union when we didn't.
We authorized it immediately as soon as we had a fair vote. Okay.
Okay. So he's basically repeated that like 3 times. So I think that's going to be what we're going to hear a lot more when he lies to other people about it. I have a fantasy that Mark Lamont Hill takes him on because he had him on in December, and like he was real. He sniffed right through the bullshit, and I think that guy's super smart too. Like I think he'd be. I don't know why I'm nominating him for that, but I just respect him. I think Richard Ojeda, Randy Bryce, But it would be amazing. Those are the two Rebellion PAC candidates that are, and there's also a guy in Iowa who is running for Senate. I hope they all win. I want these guys to win. I think it would be great if all the Rebellion PAC candidates get in, but they're working with a union buster. Wouldn't it be awesome if we have Richard Ojeda? That guy's fucking intimidating. He's like one of those, like, geez. And thank God he's not tall. He'd be even more intimidating. No, but he's like a little guy, but like little guys don't really intimidate tall people at the tall people meetings, which I barely qualify. But like, in other words, like that's just like the nature of the physics of nature. But anyway, some little guy, it doesn't matter. He's fucking intimidating as shit. He's like a Marine. He's all jacked up. It would be awesome to watch Cenk fold. Richard Ojeda's website is all about holding union busters. Not all about, but there's a whole section on labor about union busters accountable and in fighting for worker rights. Does Richard Ojeda know that he's working with a union buster and that it wasn't the bullshit story that Cenk probably told him, if he has even talked to him about it? That it was actually a classic union story of underrepresented, of fed up, of tired, of exhausted workers who felt disrespected, stood up against their boss, and used collective bargaining to give themselves the leverage they needed to slightly improve their working conditions so they could keep making their boss rich, only to be lied about publicly.
Okay, now back to what you thought was, I thought we were arguing about.
Oh, look at, why are you letting this guy beat me up like this? I thought we were supposed to be talking about my stupid claim. His claims are really dumb too, by the way. There he goes.
Good talking to you.
Not really, but okay.
Not really. Good talking to you, man. What if Cenk tackled him? That is crazy. This is just, sorry this is so long. This is a long time coming though, man. I know I need to make a short version for the fucking algorithm. People don't want to watch me do this shit for whatever it is, hour 45, something more. God damn it. God. Oh,
Are we your first criers?
Well, I cry easily too. I should do commercials. Let's watch the ending here. He gets interrupted.
I thought we were arguing about.
Yeah. So he got voted out. I mean, it's why did they vote him out though? Come on, Jubilee cast background peoples. Must be annoying to be in there and not get up in the seat. I know they don't put everybody who goes up, but I bet not. Whatever. It's fine. It's probably a more exciting day than fucking, scooping turds out of toilets at the coffee store. So, I just have so much admiration for Nick. I hope he understands that he's now in the film. I hope. I don't know if Jubilee will allow that. But man, good for you, dude. Good for you. Thank you. You've done a service, and may the rest of the left follow. Let's get loud. I know that there's other more important things in the world. I know there's, but this is not just TYT drama. This is about labor and human rights. This is about capitalism and the future of humanity. They're going to destroy the planet if we don't get to come together and build solidarity enough to stand up to them. It's planetary defense. Now, that's a little exaggerated in terms of Cenk's role precisely, but the concepts of we have to claim the collective power to stop the destruction of the planet is the only thing that'll maybe dodge global warming, which we're not dodging anything, mitigating it, and then hopefully surviving. All of our lives are worsened by the fact that we don't get to stand up to these people. And we did it at the Young Turks, and we watched this capitalist guy have a fucking freak out. And let's have the online left. Let's get loud. Put it out there. And I'm asking people to do this stuff because it's real. This is actually Cenk's book is called Justice is Coming. I want to write a book, honestly. I think that could be a part of this project if it reaches bigger heights. I have basically a book written as it is. But we have an opportunity for justice. It's true. Meaning this is a rare moment in labor and worker and employment policy and personal history. A union buster might be held accountable. workers who were slandered and smeared by a powerful guy and had their story erased might get justice. You know how little there is in the world right now? How far fucking little justice we're experiencing as a peoples. We're all just mired in our daily needs and our daily online diet of misinformation and algorithm and numb scrolling ourselves into oblivion. I'm there. I'm desperate for money, but anyway, in terms of my ability to survive, if I didn't have my dad's house to move home to, I'd be facing homelessness. I don't want to go live in my fucking dad's house. I'm grateful that I have that backup for me, but it's not a reassuring thing to be in your mid 40s and unable to earn enough money to support yourself, that you have to move home. Sucks. It's horrible. I have a lot of skills I can offer the world. I wish I didn't have to involve this evil poison of money. I think it's horrible, but I hoping to, and that's what this film project is taking fucking forever. Is if I can figure out a way to make money, then I burn all my energy doing that, and I'll have less energy for the film. And currently, I could barely do much of anything. I'm trying to do a tutorial thing. I'm getting ready to launch, and I'm trying to do other stuff. I'm reaching out to people, and I'm trying to get to a point because I'm about to literally going to throw everything I own away except what I can fit in my car and drive back to Illinois. That's where I'm at. But if we can get a big enough wind of solidarity around this, if we can get those other shows interested, like, wouldn't it be awesome to see Kyle Kalinske go at Cenk with the information you just saw? Maybe he doesn't watch this entire thing, but what if Kyle Kalinske had this in front of him? Do you think he'll let Cenk get away with saying that this was just that? If he shoves this in Cenk's face? Well, why do your workers putting out this stuff? Why did they say TYT needs to respect the choice we've already made instead of trying to pressure us out of it? No, I just closed the wrong tab. Damn it. Wouldn't that be amazing? Hasanabi goes at Cenk, brings it up somehow. He fucking should. This union was started by people who built the foundation of his success. Show some solidarity. Not that there should be a priority list of who you should have solidarity with. That's sort of the point of in my opinion, international socialist principles. We're all workers in the same place. I imagine the world is a big map, and the map of the nation states is only so that they can control their labor populations. The map of the billionaires and the map that capital has is a very different map. Those nation states aren't the same. They might be a shadow of it, but it's porous. They have a different map. They have freedom. They have the founding fathers type of freedom, the freedom to rule over everybody else. So I don't necessarily think there should be a hierarchy for who Haas prioritizes in his support for solidarity. But when it's people you literally know, whose literal labor, time, and talent built your career, gave you that leg up. When people talk about nepotism that Haas experienced, and he talks about it, and I would love to have him on this show or something and talk to him about it. I'm sure we'd get along just fine. The nepotism he had access to was his uncle's media company. But break that down. That's a variety of things. Practice on camera. The ability to be shitty on camera and not lose your job. The opportunities to take initiative, to do bro tips. And I was around when he was doing that. He had a producer running around helping him. He had people doing the publishing. I'm sure he worked his butt off, but it's not let's abandon the individualism bullshit that he did it by himself. The mechanics of the nepotism was the engine of his uncle's media company. And on top of the opportunities that he got, and he was also mistreated by his uncle, as he's talked about. I'd love to talk to him about that stuff, especially the labor regulations and stuff. On top of all that, he had the equipment, right? Like just the foundation of the facility. He had access to the capital his uncle had set up due to his own initiative, with also using the labor of many of other people. But he had access to all the time, talent, and labor of the creative professionals who worked at TYT. Many of whom started this union and have been treated like fucking shit by Cenk, and he's still lying to them. He's still lying to the audience here. We're about to wrap up because I know I'm getting long here, but I did see a comment. I posted a comment. It was really exciting because we were in the top. Oh, Jesus Christ. Here we go. Yeah, this was getting tons of likes, and it somehow lost its top comment because it would have been awesome if this had stayed. I wrote, Love to see Cenk called out for union busting because I was part of starting that union and in making the documentary Tell the Truth, Cenk, to give a worker side of the story. The story was way wilder than people realize. Bro had me, that's what I'm trying to appeal to the youth. Bro had me classified part-time while I worked 40-hour weeks for zero benefits, but he told his audience his political foes started the union to harm his run for Congress. If you know how to use your search bar, you can check it out. Use your search bar. Someone in there wrote, various nice things people wrote. I think I might have messed up my top. It was like I did it pretty early and we were really flying at the first hour or two. Then it just like petered out. It's actually gone down in number of likes. It was at like 405 or something. But it would have been great if I could have stayed on it. The video has 870,000 views, which is crazy. But Nick wrote, "Hey, that's me. Thanks so much." That's cool. I did actually write back to him, but he didn't. I don't know if he saw it or not. But someone in here wrote, oh, right here. Z to the Hill writes, I was on this episode and working for TYT during the union busting. That obviously piqued my interest. I have a similar story, working full-time, in quotes, for minimum wage, but working 60 to 70 hours a week with zero benefits and terrible working conditions. I was let go for no reason. Whoa. I'm definitely going to see if I can contact that person, see if they want to speak on more stuff. They work for TYT. That's very interesting. 60 to 70 hour weeks. Wonder what the job status was. That is so interesting. And if they got benefits, did they get overtime? Let go for no reason? Pretty interesting, isn't it? So if we go all the way back up, though, they said they were on this episode. And I think this is, I think she's in this one. I think. Yeah, I think this might be. So it's shortly.
So why? Hold on.
Shortly, I think that might be the person. So that's really interesting, isn't it? This. Oh yeah, we got to watch Nick. God damn it. Okay. Maybe this will be its own video. Ugh, I hate how long these go. I don't even think I have it's a time blindness type of like brain thingy that I mean, I obviously clearly have a lot to say. I process my thoughts verbally, and that's a big part of it. But I also realize how bad it is for like having a video of like this long in terms of building out to getting to new people. All right, let's do a new one. I'll just reset.